Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us today. We're actually going to completely skip the usual agenda because I really just want to plunge you straight into this incredibly dramatic era of early medieval Cyprus. We're looking at this literal crucible where war, peace, and honestly unprecedented diplomacy all collided on one relatively small island.
So just imagine it for a second. You're a citizen living in a quiet Roman province, and the year is 649 AD. You step outside, and the very first thing that hits you is this acrid, heavy smell of burning wood drifting right off the Mediterranean. You look out to the horizon, and you see the smoke of literally 1,700 enemy ships just blotting out the sun. This was the terrifying, photorealistic reality when Muawiyah's newly built Arab fleet suddenly attacked the peaceful shores of Byzantine Cyprus.
Section 1. Smoke on the Horizon. The 7th Century Naval Incursions.
Those sudden Arab naval raids completely shattered the quiet, centuries-old Roman administration of Cyprus. Basically, overnight, it turned a peaceful island into the front line of a massive global maritime war. And this brilliantly illustrates the technological clash between the two superpowers of the era. On one side, you have the Byzantine Dromon, this incredibly fast, oared galley packing 70 heavy marines, and get this, equipped with terrifying bronze siphons that literally sprayed liquid Greek fire. On the other side, the Arab Shalandi, heavily protected by these Castelloma shield frames specifically designed to deflect those fiery attacks. It was a fierce, cinematic clash of naval titans right off the coast.
And the human cost here? Completely unimaginable. As the monk Saint Maximus the Confessor wrote at the time, and this really hits hard, "A people coming from the desert and barbaric, lay waste our sweet and organized country." When you hear those words, you can almost feel the raw terror of the civilian population, right? Their beautifully structured world was just being systematically pulled apart by sudden, overwhelming force.
Section 2. The 3rd Century Treaty, a geopolitical anomaly.
But, history rarely moves in a straight line. Out of the chaos of these brutal naval wars emerged something entirely unexpected. Emperor Justinian II and Caliph Abd al-Malik made a radically unexpected agreement. They literally decided to share the island. Let's dive into these incredibly rare terms. They agreed to completely demilitarize Cyprus, so absolutely no permanent garrisons. They split all tax revenues 50-50, while officially the de jure sovereignty remained with Rome. It was this joint rule arrangement, a condominium, which was just radically ahead of its time.
300. I really want you to let that number sink in for a moment. This peaceful joint rule lasted for 300 years. Think about how incredible that is. While the Byzantine Empire and the Arab Caliphate were constantly waging massive, bloody wars against each other over on the mainland, they peacefully co-managed this one island for 3 entire centuries. No way, right? But it's absolutely true.
Section 3. A scene of dual taxation. The crucible of diplomacy.
So what did this actually look like on the ground? Well, this was an everyday reality that required a constant, incredibly delicate balance. I want you to visualize this tense but peaceful coexistence right in the heart of Nicosia. Picture Byzantine fiscal officials dressed up in their elaborate, layered silk tunics and pearl-studded ceremonial cloaks. Now picture them sitting literally side by side at the exact same wooden tables with Umayyad representatives in their own traditional garments. 2 entirely different cultures, rival superpowers, sitting in one room together, listening to the clink of gold coins as they peacefully administrated the island.
And every single year, exactly 7,200 gold dinars were meticulously collected from the local population. And every single year, without fail, those coins were counted out and split evenly right down the middle. Half was sent to the Christian emperor in Constantinople, and the other half was sent to the Muslim caliph. And we know for a fact this isn't just a story. A recent roadwork excavation over in Larnaca unearthed a 10th century clay vessel containing exactly 142 gold and silver coins from both empires. It perfectly physicalizes this micro to macro reality. You literally had the Byzantine solidus rub directly against the Arab dinar right there in the pockets of the Cypriot people.
Section 4. Gold mosaics and mystical chants, cultural immersion. Now, while the political landscape was defined by this incredible compromise, the spiritual life of Cyprus flourished with uncompromising brilliance. Take a look at the Orthodox churches and the Panagia Angelokisti mosaic. Notice that breathtaking, photorealistic golden background.
And look really closely at the archangels Michael and Gabriel flanking the Virgin Mary. Their wings are actually made of peacock feathers. In Byzantine iconography, the peacock feather is a powerful symbol of eternal life. It offered this sense of divine permanence amidst the earthly threat of those naval raids.
And accompanying these stunning golden mosaics was this incredibly mystical atmosphere, completely defined by Byzantine chant. Just imagine standing in one of these Orthodox churches, breathing in the incense, with religious chanting echoing in the background. It utilized this complex 8-mode system, the octoechos, filled with microtonal intervals, and it was purely vocal, entirely monophonic, because the monks in the desert monasteries were strictly opposed to polyphony. They firmly believed everyone should chant in unison to prioritize the logos, the sacred word.
Section 5. Castles watching the sea. The architecture of vigilance.
But of course, this deep spiritual life had to be protected, right? That terrifying smoke on the horizon was never really forgotten. So defensive castles were being built, and the architecture of Cyprus evolved directly in response to its threats. In the 7th century, those sudden Arab naval raids necessitated immediate defenses, which led to the early Byzantine foundations of defensive castles, like Kyrenia. Over the centuries, these structures evolved massively. By the 12th century, Crusaders were adding square towers, and by the 16th century, the Venetians upgraded the walls specifically to withstand cannon fire.
This created a massive, honestly incredible network of vigilance across the entire island. You've got Kyrenia Castle protecting the northern harbor. Then, high above in the Kyrenia Mountains, St. Hilarion Castle acted as this crucial early warning system against pirate raids. And down south, Paphos Castle guarded the harbor there. They used this amazing system of fire beacons, literally transmitting signals from the highest mountain peaks all the way down to the coastal sentinels the absolute second an enemy fleet was spotted.
Section 6. The Crusader Rupture, the end of an era.
Well, after 300 years, all systems, no matter how perfectly balanced, eventually face a shock they just cannot absorb. The crucial point here is that it wasn't the Arabs or the Byzantines who ultimately ended this amazing cultural synthesis. No, it was the sudden arrival of the Third Crusade. In 1191, Richard the Lionheart conquered the island, abruptly dragging it into the Western feudal world. And shortly after, the Knights Templar were actually brought in to secure it. That delicate balance of the condominium, the dual taxation, the shared governance, it was all permanently shattered by this Crusader rupture.
Which leaves us with a truly profound historical paradox to reflect upon today. We just explored how the Byzantines and the Arab Caliphate, two deeply opposed warring superpowers, managed to share Cyprus peacefully for 300 years. I want you to take that takeaway and apply it to our modern geopolitical map. Could two deeply opposed global superpowers ever share a territory peacefully for 300 years in today's world? It honestly seems impossible now, doesn't it? But history proves brilliantly that it actually happened. Thank you so much for learning with me today in this explainer. Keep asking those great questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.